Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. Thank you for being with us tonight. We are talking about a very important topic, education. There are many different ways to come at this topic. What we're talking about tonight is early education. What sort of education are children, third grade and under, getting in Tennessee? What could be done better? So we want to hear from you, but we're happy to have with us Mike Carpenter, Executive Director of Tennesseans for Quality Early Education, and Lisa Wiltshire, with the Policy Director for that same organization, Tennesseans for Quality Early Education. So you all have a new survey that's come out with some key findings. I want to get into that, but I think it's important to know, first of all, tell us about Tennesseans for Quality Early Education. What is this organization?
Sure. We're a statewide bipartisan advocacy organization. So we're a nonprofit that advocates for policy ages birth to third grade or birth to 8. And so we're interested in high quality early education policies that impact the children in that continuum.
Do you are you with one party or another? Are you more conservative, liberal? How would you define yourself?
We are bipartisan. We don't lean left or right. We look at the data and the evidence and support policies that are evidence-based and good for kids.
And just so the funding comes from what? How are you funded?
Yeah, our funding is primarily in the state of Tennessee. About 86% of it comes from private foundations and private individuals and some corporate dollars in the state of Tennessee. So we receive no government funding, and so we're a homegrown organization, and that we started in Tennessee and we've expanded in Tennessee.
And you are out lobbying on behalf of some things you think are very important that'll really improve education in Tennessee, and especially education for kids third grade and younger. Is that right?
Right, that's part of what we do. We develop policy. It's what Lisa's role is, in part as our policy director and as our expert in early education. We advocate for those policies. That's the lobbying piece of it, and we educate. We educate the public and policymakers about what makes good early education policy.
So you've just had a survey. What did you find, generally speaking, across the board, Democrat, Republican, parents think about education right now, public education in Tennessee right now? What did you find?
So what we found is the same thing, frankly, that we found last year when we did this. We do an annual survey, and we found that most parents and most citizens of Tennessee feel like that public education in our state is on the wrong track. About 55% in our survey this year said that they believe public education is on the wrong track, and about 66% said that they feel like that public education does not prepare children for the future or for a career afterwards. So I know that's troubling for folks in the education arena to hear, but it's our 800 sample. It's a statewide sample. Some districts, some people love their local district, some people love their local school, but as a whole, there's a feeling among our taxpayers and likely voters that our education is not getting the job done.
And even those who love their school can want more, can want something even better. They can love their public school and they want something even a little better. So what do you think, and I can ask both of you this, I mean, what do you think are some things that would improve it, or what are things you're advocating that would make things better? And why don't I ask you that? I mean, what could help turn this around, in your opinion?
Well, what we know is that in Tennessee, third grade, 2/3 of our students are not reading proficiently or doing math proficiently, meaning at grade level. So that's a real problem. Third grade is that first marker. We know that children who are behind in third grade have a hard time catching up, 4 times more likely to drop out of high school, 60% less likely to pursue post-secondary. So what we believe is all of those years before third grade matter. They matter a lot. Most of the brain is developed by age 5. So we want to advocate for stronger and better early childhood programs before children get into kindergarten, so they're more prepared to succeed in school. And then in those early elementary years, we want to make sure that teachers are prepared, they're supported, school administrators are supported to be able to offer children excellent instruction and excellent programming.
Are you talking, to me that sounds like pre-K. It sounds like you're saying we need across the board pre-K in Tennessee. Is that how you feel?
Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, pre-K is one of the policies that we advocate for, and we think that pre-K is very important. We believe in consistently having high-quality pre-K programs. In Tennessee, we have pre-K programs in relatively most of the time in schools, but we also have childcare, and childcare centers can be faith-based organizations, private providers, community providers, and they serve a range of ages, 0 to 5. And so what we want to see is all of those programs strengthened and higher quality in all of those programs, no matter where children are before they get to kindergarten, including in the home. We also advocate for policies that strengthen families to be able to be their child's first and best teacher. So it's really strengthening all of the programs and services that are offered to children in this state before they get to kindergarten and then in those early elementary years.
Interestingly, our survey found that 94% of Tennesseans want to see pre-K, voluntary pre-K, expanded to all 4-year-olds. Right now, voluntary pre-K in the state of Tennessee is for disadvantaged students that are income eligible. And so, so what the survey found is that 94% of respondents wanted to expand that to all 4-year-olds. And my favorite stat in the survey is that when we broke that down and looked at demographics, Donald Trump voters and Hillary Clinton voters both agree, 94% each of Clinton voters, 94% of Trump voters agree on this point. So if you think Clinton and Trump voters can't find anything to agree on, here's something they agree on in the state of Tennessee.
Well, we need that. So we need to find those things, because you're right, there aren't a ton of them. How do we, you're saying voluntary pre-K. So when I hear pre-K, the question always is, how do we pay for it? So that's my question to you. How do we pay for it? What do you mean by voluntary pre-K?
So voluntary pre-K in the state is means that it's not mandated, and so it's a choice whether or not parents of 4-year-olds want to send their child to pre-K. And then so in Tennessee, because it's our pre-K program is for disadvantaged children, you have to meet the income requirements to be a part of the pre-K program, and that's paid for by a pot of money that's about $85 million that the state funds. So there would certainly have to be some additional dollars put into that pot, additional funding mechanisms considered if we were going to expand pre-K to, first of all, the rest of the disadvantaged population. Right now we're only serving about 40% of the disadvantaged. And then if we wanted to open that up to every 4-year-old, as the survey suggests that voters do, then we would have to find additional dollars for that. So it's it's not the kind of thing that will happen overnight, but the sentiment is there that pre-K is important, and getting 4-year-olds ready for kindergarten, being kindergarten ready, is really important.
No doubt that 3rd grade marker is critically important. Now, you've seen studies, and this has been debated in the legislature, and there's studies out there. I think there was a Vanderbilt study that said kids forget much of what they learn, or some of what they learn. I'm sure I'm butchering the study, but those who are opposed to pre-K cite this study. And so let's say you're up at the legislature and you're talking to somebody, and they're on the side of, well, I've heard about this Vanderbilt study, and I have some real concerns that kids, it doesn't benefit kids. What do you say?
Lisa, you want to take that?
Yes, well, I'd say, first of all, pre-K does work. So the study found that students who attended the pre-K program were actually better prepared for school across all outcomes. So we know pre-K works to get kids prepared for kindergarten. What the study found is that over time, the children who attended pre-K caught up with their peers, and both groups of children, academic performance actually declined in 2nd and 3rd grades. So the big mystery is the study did not tell us why that's happening. So what we advocate for is really understanding what's happening in those kindergarten 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade classrooms that would lead to conditions where those early gains are not sustained over time. And that's where we think research and policy and practice really needs to focus on strengthening every year.
And this is a major question, because I do see over and over we're struggling to meet this mark at 3rd grade. Are other countries doing things differently? I mean, where are we falling short with so many of our children? I mean, there are plenty who meet the mark, but there are plenty who don't. And so why are we falling short when I feel like other countries, you look at their surveys and they're not? Is it pre-K? Is it more childcare? What are some things that others are doing that you feel like we're not doing?
So one thing I'd like to say about pre-K at this point, and then to get to your broader question is, the opponents of pre-K put a whole lot of pressure on that 1 year. We don't do that for any other grade. We don't take the 9th grade, the 5th grade, the 7th grade, and say, if because kids did well or didn't do well in this grade, then they're going to do poorly later on. And so pre-K for 4-year-olds is one important foundational building block of an entire education for a child. And so we think it's critical to get ready for kindergarten, but to say that pre-K doesn't work because kids struggled in the 2nd grade is really not fair. When you look at the fact that they have a different teacher every year, they have different curriculum, sometimes they go to different schools, different things happen in their lives. There's a whole lot of reasons that might be out there that we need to look at about why kids didn't sustain those gains. And so I think that's something that we need to be realistic about.
Well, and before you move on to that other question, it only makes sense that if there is some kind of instruction early on, how could that be anything but helpful, And that's what I guess I'm getting at. Are other countries doing this? Are they doing things we're not doing? Is pre-K one of them, or is there more child care? Are other countries doing something we're not in these early years?
Well, I think we have, our country has a lot of opportunities, but we also have challenges. And we know that, for instance, there's a lot of attention paid to the achievement gap. We like to think of it as an opportunity gap before kids get to school. They don't have the same kinds of experiences and enriching experiences. And that's one of the reasons why we believe pre-K is so important, because it can afford that kind of enriching experiences to kids who otherwise might not have that. But to build on what Mike said in answer to this question is we need to make sure that the schools that children are going into after they've been in pre-K programs, child care programs, even after they've been at home, we need to make sure that the schools are strong and that the schools are ready for the children. We talk a lot about children being ready, and what we need to make sure is that schools are ready, teachers are ready, principals are ready, really prepared for every student, irrespective of where their school is or what the poverty rate in that school is or what the demographics are. We need all classrooms strengthened, and we know that when children are exposed to high quality teachers, highly effective teachers that are in buildings where the teachers are supported, there's great working conditions, there's a good school culture, those children thrive. And so what we really need to do is make sure that all of our schools are strong, and that'll help get us to that goal. Because when you look at those 3rd grade scores, if you dig into the data, we see those achievement gaps, and they're very real, and they're still there. Tennessee's come a long way in the last several years to closing those gaps, but we have not closed them yet. And if we want to close them, that's one of the reasons we believe we need to start way back at the beginning.
Fascinating discussion. All right, we want to take a break. If you want to join the discussion, there's a number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Talking about early education in Tennessee. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.